My name is Thomas Thorne, and at 68 years old, I became invisible. Not dead, not gone, just irrelevant. I stood in the hallway of my daughter Alara's townhouse, the one with the granite countertops and the view of the park, listening to my 3 children discuss my future like I was a broken appliance they were deciding whether to repair or throw away. He's a burden. What does he even contribute anymore? Maybe it's time we limit our involvement. Financially, emotionally. They laughed. My own son, Aean, actually laughed when he said, "What's he going to do? He's got nothing. We've been carrying him for years." I didn't walk into that room. I didn't defend myself. I turned around, walked out the front door, got into my 15-year-old sedan, and drove away. My hands shook on the steering wheel. My chest felt hollow. But in my glove compartment sat a single piece of paper, a document they'd never seen, one that could burn their perfect little worlds to ash. You see, Alara's beautiful townhouse? I own it. Aemon's office, where he runs his consulting business? Mine. Iris's boutique that's been struggling for 2 years? I've been covering her losses every single month. They called me worthless, a burden, a mistake they needed to fix. They had no idea that the broke old man they wanted to discard was the only reason they had roofs over their heads. And now? Now, I'm going to show them exactly what happens when you forget where you came from. This is my story. And trust me, you've never heard anything like it. Subscribe right now if you want to see what happens when the truth comes out. Hit that like button if you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Drop a comment telling me, have you ever been underestimated by someone who should have known better? And smash that notification bell. I make a decision that destroys everything they thought they knew about me. You do not want to miss what comes next. Let's go. I've always been early. It's a habit Vera, my late wife, used to tease me about. Thomas, the dinner doesn't start for another hour. Sit down, relax. But I couldn't. Being early meant I was prepared, in control, present. 15 years since she died, and I still can't break the habit. So when Alara invited me to family dinner at her place that Tuesday evening, I showed up 20 minutes early. I parked on the street, grabbed the bottle of wine I'd brought, something mid-range, nothing fancy, and walked up to her front door. That's when I heard the voices. The door was cracked open. Not much, just enough that the March wind must have pushed it ajar. And inside, in the dining room just off the entryway, I heard my children talking. About me. I should have knocked. Should have walked right in and announced myself like a normal person. But something in Aemon's tone stopped me cold. It was sharp, frustrated. The way you talk about a problem you're trying to solve. I stood there, frozen, the wine bottle sweating in my hand. Alara spoke first. My eldest, 42 years old, confident, always had been. Look, I'm just saying we need to be realistic about this. Dad's getting older. The medical bills are only going to increase, and he's becoming dependent. On all of us. Dependent? That was Iris, my youngest, 35. Her voice was quieter, uncertain. He doesn't ask us for anything. He doesn't have to ask, Aeon cut in. We're constantly managing things for him, checking in, making sure he's okay. It's exhausting. I felt my throat tighten. Alara continued. I love Dad. We all do. But we have to talk about what's sustainable here. Arden and I are stretched thin as it is. The mortgage, the kids' tuition. We can't keep propping him up emotionally and financially. Financially? I lived in a small ranch house on the east side, drove a 2011 Camry, bought my clothes at discount stores. What the hell was she talking about? So, what are you suggesting? Aemon's voice was measured now. Careful. I'm suggesting, Alara said slowly, that we set some boundaries. Maybe it's time we talk about limiting our involvement, maybe even looking into state assistance, a facility. Silence. Then Iris. You mean a home? I mean a place where he'd be taken care of, Alara said, her tone clipped. By professionals, people who are trained for this. Jesus, Alara. Aean sounded almost impressed. You've really thought this through. One of us has to. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Arden, Alara's husband, spoke next. I'd always liked Arden, thought he was a good man, steady. Look, he said, I know this feels harsh, but Alara's right. Your dad's 68. He's not contributing anything anymore. He just exists. And yeah, that sounds cold, but we've got to be practical. We're not made of money. Aean laughed. Actually laughed. Exactly. What's he going to do if we pull back? He's got nothing. We've been carrying him for years. He'll figure it out or he won't. Either way, it's not our responsibility forever. The wine bottle slipped. I caught it just before it hit the ground. The sound, the soft scrape of glass against my palm, felt deafening. But they didn't hear. Iris tried once more. I don't know. It feels wrong. He's our father. And we're his children, Alara shot back. Not his caretakers. There's a difference. I turned, slowly, carefully, walked back down the steps, across the lawn, and got into my car. I sat there for 5 minutes, maybe 10, staring at the steering wheel. My hands were shaking. These were my kids, the ones I'd raised, the ones I'd sat up with when they were sick, taught to ride bikes, walk down aisles, held their babies in the hospital and cried because I was so goddamn proud. And I was nothing to them. A burden, a problem, a liability. I reached into the glove compartment, pulled out the folder I kept there. Inside were copies of the LLC documents, property deeds, tax statements, Thorne Properties. 14 apartment complexes, 3 shopping plazas, commercial office spaces across 2 counties. Vera and I built it together, slowly, carefully, starting with a single duplex 40 years ago and growing it piece by piece. After she died, I kept going, kept building. It was the only thing that made me feel close to her. I never told the kids, never flaunted it. I wanted them to make their own way, build their own lives. I thought that's what good parents did. Turns out, I just made myself invisible. I looked at Alara's townhouse through the windshield, the one with the big windows and the landscaped front yard. I own that building. Aemon's office downtown, the sleek space he's so proud of. Mine. Iris's boutique on Main Street. I've been quietly covering her rent shortfalls for 2 years through my property management company. She doesn't even know. They've been living off me this entire time, and they think I'm the one with nothing. I started the car, put it in drive, and as I pulled away from that house, something cold and sharp settled in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Clarity. I drove straight to my office, a modest space above a deli on 4th Street. I unlocked the door, sat at my desk, and pulled out my phone. I scrolled to a name, Merrick Langford. My lawyer, a good man, patient, smart. I typed out a message. Need to meet tomorrow. It's time to make changes to the estate plan. All of it. I hit send. Then I sat back in my chair, staring at the ceiling, and for the first time in 15 years, I felt something I hadn't felt since Vera died. Purpose. They wanted to cut me loose? Fine. Let's see how they do when the safety net disappears. Let me tell you what I've been doing for the last 40 years while my children thought I was just Dad. The morning after that meeting, the one I wasn't supposed to hear, I woke up at 5 a.m. like I always do, made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, stared at the photo of Vera on the mantel. She's smiling in that picture. Taken at our 30th anniversary, 2 years before the cancer came. What would you do? I asked her like I always do. She didn't answer. She never does. But I know what she'd say. Don't burn it all down, Thomas, but don't let them walk on you either. So I didn't burn anything. Not yet. I got dressed, drove to my office, and I started making calls. Here's what my children don't know. After Vera died, I threw myself into work. Not because I'm some workaholic or because I needed the money. I did it because sitting in that empty house, our house, made me want to disappear. So I worked, and I built. Thorn Properties LLC started as a dream. Vera and I bought our first duplex in 1984 with every penny we had. We were 30 years old, stupid, optimistic. We rented out one side and lived in the other. Fixed leaks ourselves. Painted walls at midnight. 10 years later, we owned 4 buildings. 20 years later, 12. By the time Vera got sick, we had an empire. And she made me promise something in that hospital room. "Don't give it to them all at once," she said. Her voice was weak, but her grip on my hand was iron. "Make them earn it. Not the money, the understanding. If you just hand it over, they'll never respect what it took to build." I promised, and I kept that promise, even after she was gone. So I stayed quiet, lived modestly. Let them think I was just a retired old man living on a pension and Social Security. Meanwhile, I've been their invisible benefactor, their silent landlord, the reason they've been able to live the lives they think they earned. Let me break it down for you. Alara's townhouse, the one with the chef's kitchen and the walk-in closets, she pays $2,100 a month in rent. Market rate for that place is $3,200. I've been subsidizing her for 6 years through a management company. She has no idea her landlord is her father. Aean's office, that glass and steel space downtown where he runs his consulting firm, he thinks he got a sweetheart deal at $2,000 a month. The real rate is $4,800. I've been covering the difference because I wanted him to feel successful, capable, independent. Iris's boutique, that little shop she opened 3 years ago selling handmade jewelry and vintage clothes, she's been bleeding money since month 1. I've been covering her rent shortfalls, her insurance, even her payment processing fees. She thinks she's staying afloat on her own hustle. She's not. They've all been living off me, and they called me the burden. I sat at my desk that morning and opened the files. Lease agreements, subsidy records, property deeds, 40 years of work, 40 years of building something that was supposed to take care of them. And they wanted to put me in a home. My phone buzzed. A text from Merrick, my lawyer. "Got your message. Can meet at 10. You okay?" I typed back, "No, but I will be." At 10 o'clock sharp, I walked into Merrick's office. He's 63. Been my lawyer for 20 years. Knew Vera. Loved her even. Not romantically, just the way everyone loved Vera. He took one look at my face and poured 2 glasses of whiskey. It wasn't even noon. "Talk to me, Thomas." So I did. I told him about the meeting, about Alara's plan to limit involvement, about Aean's laugh, about how Iris tried to defend me but couldn't quite manage it. Merrick listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and shook his head. Those ungrateful little shits. I almost smiled. Almost. "I want to make changes," I said. "To the estate, to the subsidies, all of it." "What kind of changes?" "I want to stop carrying them. Quietly. Let them feel what it's like to stand on their own." Merrick raised an eyebrow. "You want to pull the rug out." "I want to pull the rug out and see if they even notice it was there." He nodded slowly, took a sip of whiskey. "All right." "What's the plan?" "Here's what we did. Step 1. Terminate all subsidies, effective immediately. Market rate rent for Alara. Standard lease renewal for Aean at full price. Cut off back-end support for Iris's boutique. Step 2. Let them come to me. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just wait. See what they do when their perfect little lives start to crack. Step 3. Depending on how they react, whether they come to me with humility or entitlement, I decide what happens next. Merrick drafted the paperwork. I signed everything. And then I called my property manager, a woman named Claudia who'd been running the day-to-day operations for a decade. Claudia, I need you to do something for me. Anything, Mr. Thorne. I need you to send out lease renewals, standard rates, no exceptions. There was a pause. Even for the Thorne family properties. Especially for the Thorne family properties. Another pause. Longer this time. Understood. I hung up, sat back in my chair, and for the first time in weeks I felt something close to calm. Not peace, not yet, but control. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a name I'd been seeing more and more often lately. Celine. We'd met 6 months ago. Total accident. I was grabbing coffee at the place near my office and she struck up a conversation. She's 54, sharp, kind, works as a financial consultant in the building next door. We started meeting once a week. Just coffee. Just talking. She doesn't know about the properties, doesn't know about my kids. She just knows me as Thomas, a guy who likes black coffee and old jazz records, and for some reason, that felt like the only honest thing in my life. I sent her a text. Coffee tomorrow? She replied immediately, Always, you okay? You sound off. I stared at the message, thought about lying, saying I was fine. Instead, I typed, Not really, I'll explain tomorrow. I'll be there. That night, I sat in my living room. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I looked around at the life I'd built, the furniture Vera and I picked out together, the bookshelf full of novels she loved, the piano in the corner that no one's played since she died. And I thought about my kids. Elara, who used to crawl into my lap when she had nightmares. Aean, who called me every Sunday for 10 years, until he didn't. Iris, who still sends me pictures of her dog, even if we haven't had a real conversation in months. I loved them. God, I loved them. But love isn't supposed to be one-sided, and I was done being invisible. 3 days later, the first bomb dropped. Aemon's lease renewal arrived, $4,800 a month, double what he'd been paying. He called me that afternoon. I let it ring twice before I answered. Dad. His voice was tight, stressed. I need to talk to you about something. What's going on, son? My landlord. He's screwing me. Doubled my rent out of nowhere. I don't understand it. I've been a perfect tenant. I stayed calm. That's awful. What are you going to do? Silence. I don't know. I was hoping maybe you could... Could what? Another silence. Longer this time. Never mind. I'll figure it out. He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone and felt the first crack in my chest. This was going to hurt. Not just them. Me too. Her name is Celine, and she's the only person in 15 years who asked me how I was doing, and actually waited for an answer. We met on a Tuesday, 6 months ago. I was at Morrison's coffee house, my usual spot near the office, and every table was taken except the one where she sat, laptop open, reading glasses perched on her nose. Mind if I sit? I'd asked. She looked up, smiled. Only if you promise not to talk about the weather. I liked her immediately. That first day we talked for an hour. About books, about the city, about nothing important. She didn't ask what I did for a living, didn't ask if I was married, had kids, owned property. She just talked to me, like I was a person, not a role. We started meeting every Wednesday. Same time, same table when we could get it. And in 6 months, Celine became the only person who actually saw me. I was late, 15 minutes. I'm never late. She was already there, 2 coffees on the table. Black for me, oat milk latte for her. You look like hell, she said as I sat down. Good morning to you too. She didn't smile, just studied my face with those sharp brown eyes. What happened? I wanted to lie, say I was fine, that it was just a rough week. But sitting across from Celine, I couldn't. So I told her everything. About the meeting I wasn't supposed to hear, about Elara's plan to limit involvement, about Aemon's laugh, about how they called me a burden while living in my buildings, working in my spaces, surviving on my subsidies. I told her about the properties, about Vera, about the promise I made and the silence I kept, and I told her what I'd done, the lease renewals, the subsidy cuts, the decision to let them fall. Celine listened, didn't interrupt, didn't gasp or shake her head or offer empty sympathy. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned back in her chair and said something I didn't expect. "You know what the saddest part is?" "What?" "You're more worried about hurting them than they ever were about hurting you." The words hit like a punch. "I don't want to hurt them," I said quietly. "I just want them to see me." "Then make them see you. But don't destroy them in the process." She leaned forward. "Thomas, you've got two choices here. Burn it all down out of spite, which honestly they might deserve, or do something smarter." "Like what?" "Make them understand what they almost lost. Not through cruelty, through truth." We spent the next 2 hours building a plan. Not revenge, not destruction, revelation. Step 1. Let the financial pressure build. Don't explain it, don't soften it. Let them feel the weight of reality for the first time in years. Step 2. Wait. See who breaks first. See who comes to me with humility versus entitlement. Step 3. Based on their reactions, decide whether they deserve a second chance or whether they've lost me for good. Celine pulled out a notepad, started sketching timelines. "How long do you think before they crack?" "Aemon's already feeling it. He called yesterday." "What did you say?" "I asked him what he was going to do. He didn't have an answer." She nodded. "Good. Don't give him one. Let him sit with it. And Alara? Alara's the planner. She'll last longer, but when she breaks, it'll be loud." I almost smiled. "You sound like you know her." "I know the type. High achiever, perfectionist, terrified of looking weak." Celine tapped her pen against the table. "When her rent increases, she's going to fight it. Hard. And when she realizes she can't win, she's going to come after you." "You think she'll figure it out?" "Eventually. And when she does, you need to be ready." That afternoon, I made the calls. First to Claudia, my property manager. "Has the paperwork gone out?" "All sent, Mr. Thorne. Ilara's renewal notice should arrive by Friday. Aemon's already did. And I've terminated the back-end support for Iris's boutique, effective immediately." "Any pushback yet?" "Aeon called twice. I referred him to corporate. He's not happy." "Good." There was a pause. "Mr. Thorne, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you sure about this? These are your children." I looked out the window of my office, watched the traffic move below. "That's exactly why I'm doing it, Claudia." By Thursday, Iris called. Her voice was shaking. "Dad, something's wrong. My accounts, they're all messed up. I think someone's been stealing from me." My chest tightened. Of all of them, Iris was the one I worried about most. She was soft, kind. The world chewed up people like her. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "My payment processor. It's saying I owe back fees, like thousands of dollars." "And my insurance lapsed because apparently I haven't been paying it?" "But I have, Dad. I know I have." No, she hadn't. I had. "Have you talked to your accountant?" "I don't have an accountant. I thought I was managing okay. But now everything's falling apart and I don't know what I did wrong." I wanted to fix it. Wanted to transfer the money, make the calls, smooth it all over like I always did. Instead, I said, "Iris, I need you to take a breath. This isn't the end of the world. You're going to figure this out." "But how? I don't even know where to start." "Start by getting help. Hire someone who knows what they're doing. And, sweetheart, don't panic. You're stronger than you think." She was crying now. Soft, quiet sobs. "I don't feel strong." "I know, but you are." We hung up, and I sat there staring at my phone, hating myself just a little bit. Friday morning, Alara's renewal notice arrived. I didn't hear from her directly. but I got a call from Claudia. "Mr. Thorne, we have a problem." "Let me guess. Ilara. She's threatening legal action. Says the rent increase is illegal, predatory. She's demanding we rescind it, or she'll file a complaint with the housing authority." I almost laughed. Almost. Tell her the increase is within legal limits, provide documentation, and tell her if she doesn't like it, she's free to find another place. "Sir." "I know what I'm doing, Claudia." She sighed. "Yes, sir." "How are you holding up?" I stared at the message, thought about lying. Instead, "I feel like a monster." Her reply came fast. "You're not. You're a father who's tired of being invisible. There's a difference. Doesn't feel like it. Give it time. They'll come around, or they won't. Either way, you'll know who they really are." I set the phone down, looked at Vera's picture on the mantel. "Am I doing the right thing?" I asked her. Silence. But somewhere, deep down, I knew the answer. This wasn't about punishment. It was about truth. And the truth was about to destroy everything. The pressure is building. Aemon's scrambling. Iris is breaking. And Ilara? She's about to declare war. But here's what you don't know yet. One of them is about to do something that changes everything. And I mean everything. If you're not subscribed, subscribe now. Hit that like button if you're still on my side. Comment, "Truth hurts," if you think they need this wake-up call. And turn on notifications because next is the explosion you've been waiting for. This is where I confront them. All of them. And what happens next will leave you speechless. Don't miss it. Let's go. It took 3 weeks. 3 weeks for their perfect little worlds to crack wide open. 3 weeks for reality to catch up with them. And 3 weeks for me to realize that watching your children struggle, even when they deserve it, feels like swallowing glass. Aeon broke first. He called me on a Monday afternoon. I was at the hardware store buying light bulbs when my phone buzzed. "Dad." His voice was strained, tired. "I need to talk to you." "I'm listening." "Not on the phone. Can I come by?" I thought about saying no, about making him wait, but I didn't. "I'll be home in 20 minutes. I made coffee. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where he used to do homework while Vera made dinner. He looked rough, dark circles under his eyes, his shirt wrinkled. This wasn't the polished consultant I'd seen at family gatherings. "I can't afford the new rent," he said finally. No preamble, no small talk. "On your office?" He nodded. "It's double what I've been paying. I don't understand it. I've been a model tenant, never late on payments, and suddenly they want $4,800 a month? It's insane." I sipped my coffee, said nothing. "I had to let my assistant go," he continued, "and I'm looking at cheaper spaces, but everything in that area is the same price or worse. I might have to move out to the suburbs, work from home." "That sounds like a smart plan." He looked at me, really looked at me. "You don't seem surprised." "By what?" "By any of this. The rent hike, me struggling." I set my cup down carefully. "Aeon, you're a smart guy. You'll figure it out." "That's it? That's all you're going to say?" "What do you want me to say?" He stood up, pacing now. "I want you to care, Dad. I'm drowning here and you're acting like it's no big deal." "I do care. Then help me." And there it was, the ask, the expectation. I leaned back in my chair. "How?" "I don't know. Co-sign on a loan. Lend me the difference until I can get back on my feet." "Something." "Why would I do that?" He stopped pacing, stared at me like I'd slapped him. "Because I'm your son. And 3 weeks ago, you sat in Ilara's dining room and called me a burden, said I had nothing, that you'd been carrying me for years." The color drained from his face. You heard that?" "Every word." Silence. Long and heavy. Then, quietly, "Dad, You what? Didn't mean it. We're just venting." I stood up. "Aeon, you meant it. And that's fine. You're entitled to your feelings, but don't come to me now asking for help and expect me to forget." He looked like I'd gutted him. "So that's it? You're punishing me?" "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just done carrying you." She didn't call first, just knocked on my door at 8 in the morning, eyes red, mascara smudged. "Iris, what's wrong?" "Everything." She pushed past me, collapsed on my couch. "Everything's wrong, Dad. The boutique's failing. I can't pay my bills. I had to close for a week because I couldn't afford inventory. And I don't know what to do." I sat down next to her, handed her a tissue. "Tell me what happened." She wiped her eyes. "I thought I was doing okay. Not great, but okay. Then suddenly all these bills started coming. Payment processing fees I didn't know about. Insurance I thought was covered. My landlord sent me a notice saying I'm 3 months behind on something. I don't even understand it. Because I'd been covering it. All of it. Have you talked to an accountant? I can't afford one. Iris, you're running a business. You need professional help. I needed help months ago, Dad, but I was too embarrassed to ask. I wanted to prove I could do this on my own, that I wasn't a failure." My chest ached. "You're not a failure." "Then why does it feel like I am?" I pulled her into a hug, let her cry, and hated myself for every second of it. But I didn't offer money, didn't offer to fix it. I just held her. Friday evening, my phone rang. "Alara?" I almost didn't answer. "Dad, we need to talk. Can you come over tonight?" Her voice was sharp, controlled, the Alara I knew. "What's this about?" "Just come over, 7 o'clock. She hung up before I could respond. I arrived at 7:15. Deliberate, small act of defiance. But when I walked in, I realized this wasn't just Alara. Aean was there, Iris, and Arden, Alara's husband, sitting in the corner with his arms crossed. A family meeting. About me. Again. "Sit down, Dad," Alara said. I didn't. "I'm fine standing," she sighed. "Fine. We need to talk about what's been happening." "I'm listening." "We're all struggling right now," she began. "Aemon's office rent doubled. Iris's business is collapsing. My townhouse rent went up $900 a month, and we're trying to figure out why." I said nothing. "It feels coordinated," Arden added, "like someone's targeting us." I almost smiled. Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Do you know something we don't?" "Like what?" "Like why everything's falling apart at the same time." I looked at each of them. Aeon, guilty and exhausted. Iris, broken and lost. Alara, sharp and suspicious. And I made a choice. "You want to know why?" I asked quietly. "Yes." "Because I stopped helping you." Confusion, then realization. Alara's face went pale. "What?" "Aeon, your office rent didn't double out of nowhere. You've been paying below market rate for 6 years. I was covering the difference." His jaw dropped. "Iris, your boutique didn't suddenly have surprise bills. I've been paying your back-end costs since you opened." She started crying again. "And Ilara." I turned to my eldest daughter. "Your beautiful townhouse? The one you're so proud of? I own the building. You've been my tenant for 6 years. I've been subsidizing your rent by $1,100 a month." Dead silence. Arden stood up. "That's bullshit." "It's not." I pulled out my phone, opened the property management app, turned the screen toward them. Thorn Properties, LLC. 14 apartment complexes. 3 commercial plazas. This townhouse is Unit 8C in the Riverside building. Check your lease. Check the ownership records. Ilara grabbed my phone, stared at the screen. Her hands started shaking. You've been our landlord? For years. And you never told us? I wanted you to build your own lives. By lying to us?" Her voice cracked. "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything." Aemon's voice was barely a whisper. "Why now? Why cut us off now?" I looked at him. 3 weeks ago, I stood in that hallway. I pointed toward the dining room, and listened to all of you decide I was a burden, that I had nothing, that you'd been carrying me. Alara's face crumpled. So I stopped carrying you. I wanted to see what you'd do, how you'd react. This is insane, Arden said. You're punishing them for one conversation. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just done being invisible. Iris stood up, sobbing. Dad, please, I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Just, please don't do this. I looked at her, my youngest, my soft-hearted girl, and I felt my resolve crack. But before I could speak, Alara's phone buzzed. She looked at it, then at me. What the hell is this? What? She turned her phone around. An email from her property management company. Notice of ownership disclosure. You're selling the building? No, I'm transferring management, making things official. Her eyes filled with tears, but they weren't sad tears. They were furious. You manipulative bastard. Alara, get out. What? Get out of my house. It's not your house, I said quietly. It's mine. And I walked out. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my living room, lights off, staring at Vera's picture on the mantel until the sun came up. Did I go too far? I asked her. The house was silent. It's always silent now. At 6:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Iris. I don't know what to say to you right now. Nothing from Aean, nothing from Alara. I made coffee, burned toast, threw it away. At 7:15, there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it. Aean stood on my porch. He looked like he'd been awake all night, too. Same clothes as yesterday. Hair uncombed, eyes red. Can I come in? I stepped aside. The same table where, just days ago, he'd asked me for help and I'd refused. He didn't speak for a full minute, just stared at his hands. Finally, I need to say something, and I need you to let me finish. I nodded. When Mom died, I was so angry. His voice cracked. At her, at God, at you, especially at you. I stayed quiet. You disappeared, Dad, into work, into silence. We'd call and you'd answer, but you weren't really there. It felt like we lost both of you that day. My throat tightened. So I stopped trying, stopped asking how you were, stopped caring, I guess. And it was easier that way. Easier to be mad than to be sad. He wiped his eyes. Then last night, when you told us about the buildings, about the money, I didn't feel betrayed. I felt ashamed. Aean, let me finish, please. He looked up at me. You've been taking care of us this whole time, quietly, without asking for credit or gratitude, and we repaid you by calling you a burden, by planning to cut you off. A tear rolled down his cheek. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so goddamn sorry. Not because you own the buildings, not because I need your money. I'm sorry because I forgot who you were. I forgot that you're a person, that you're my father, and you deserved better from me. I couldn't speak. I don't want your money, he continued. I'll figure out the office. I'll downsize, work from home, whatever. But I don't want to lose you. Not again. My chest felt like it was caving in. Aean, I need to ask you something, he interrupted. Why didn't you just tell us? About the properties, about everything. I took a breath. Because your mother and I wanted you to build your own lives, not depend on us. Not wait around for an inheritance. So you let us think you were broke. I let you think I was ordinary. He almost smiled. You were never ordinary, Dad. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Aean said something that broke me. Tell me about her, about Mom, about building all of this. I never asked, and I should have. So I did. I told him about the first duplex, about Vera painting walls at midnight, pregnant with Alara, about the first tenant who paid rent in cash and a bottle of homemade wine. I told him about the risks we took, the mortgages that terrified us, The buildings we bought when everyone said we were crazy. I told him about the night Vera got diagnosed, how she sat in that hospital bed and made me promise to keep building, to keep living. Don't let grief turn you into a ghost, Thomas. Keep going. For them. For us. By the time I finished, we were both crying. I wish I'd known, Aean said. I wish I'd told you. He stood up, walked around the table, and hugged me. For the first time in 15 years, I hugged my son back. That afternoon, Aean called Alara. I didn't know this until later, but he told me everything. He called her and said, "We were wrong. About Dad. About all of it." Alara didn't want to hear it. "He lied to us, Aean. For years." "No, he protected us. There's a difference. Protected us. He humiliated us. He gave us everything and we called him worthless. Who's humiliated here?" She hung up on him. But Aean didn't stop. He called Iris next. And Iris, sweet Iris, said, "I know, I've been thinking about it all night. We were horrible to him." So what do? We apologize. Really apologize. Not because we want the money back, because we love him. 2 days later, Celine and I met for coffee. I told her about Aean, about the conversation, about the hug. She smiled. "See, I told you. Give them truth, and some of them will rise to it. 1 out of 3 isn't exactly a victory. It's a start." I stirred my coffee. "There's something I need to tell you." "Okay." Alara's threatening legal action. She's claiming Vera verbally promised her the properties, that I'm mentally unfit to manage them. Celine's smile disappeared. "She's doing what?" "My lawyer says it won't hold up, but it's ugly, and it's public." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "Thomas, there's something I need to tell you too." My stomach dropped. Not her too. "I haven't been completely honest with you." "About what?" "About what I do." She took a breath. "I'm not just a financial consultant. I'm also a family mediator. I specialize in estate conflicts." I stared at her. "When we met, it was random. But after you told me about your family, I started researching. I wanted to help. I should have told you sooner. So this was... what? A case study?" "No." Her voice was firm. "It was a man I started caring about who was disappearing into his own hurt. I wanted to save you from making a mistake you couldn't take back." She pulled out a folder. Detailed documentation. Property records. Subsidy histories. Everything. "If you want to destroy Alara's case, I can do it in 10 minutes. But Thomas, I need you to ask yourself something." "What? Is that what you really want? To win a legal battle and lose your daughter forever?" I thought about it all night, and the next morning, I made a decision. I called my lawyer, Merrick. "I want to set up a meeting, all 3 kids, Arden, you, Celine, everyone." "You sure about this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." They came to my house that Sunday. Alara arrived last, Arden beside her. She looked exhausted, defiant. Everyone sat in my living room, the same room where Vera used to host Christmas. I stood. "I know you filed a lawsuit, Alara." She didn't flinch. "I'm protecting what's mine. It's not yours. Not yet. Maybe not ever." Her jaw tightened. "But I didn't ask you here to fight." I looked at all of them. "I asked you here because I need to tell you something. Something your mother told me before she died." Iris leaned forward. Aemon's hand was shaking. She said, "Don't give them everything at once. Make them earn it. Not the money. The understanding." I pulled out a document, set it on the coffee table. "I'm not giving you the properties. Not outright. But I'm not destroying you either." "Then what are you doing?" Alara's voice was ice. "I'm giving you a choice." I looked at my children, all 3 of them sitting in my living room, and I saw Vera in their faces. Alara had her sharp intelligence. Aeon had her kindness buried under years of hurt. Iris had her softness, her hope, and I realized I didn't want revenge. I wanted my family back. "Here's what I'm offering," I said. I slid the document across the table. Merrick had prepared it. Celine had reviewed it. A trust, managed by Merrick and Celine. The properties will generate income, divided equally among the three of you, but there are conditions. "Of course there are," Ilara muttered. I ignored her. "You'll manage the buildings, together, handle tenants, maintenance, finances. You'll learn the business the way your mother and I did, from the ground up." "For how long?" Aean asked. 5 years. If you prove you understand what it takes, what it costs to build this, ownership transfers to you, equally. And if we don't?" Iris's voice was small. "Then it goes to charity, the Vera Thorne Foundation, for families who can't afford housing." Silence. Arden spoke first. "This is manipulative." "No," Celine cut in. "It's fair. He's giving them an opportunity to earn something instead of expecting it." Ilara's hands were shaking. "You're punishing me. For the lawsuit. For everything." "I'm not punishing anyone." I sat down across from her. "Ilara, you filed that lawsuit because you were scared. Scared of being dependent. Scared of losing control. I get it. You don't. I do, because I felt the same way when your mother died. Terrified. Lost. So I buried myself in work and pushed you all away, and I'm sorry for that." Her eyes filled with tears. "But you can't control this, sweetheart. None of you can. You can either work together, really work together, or you can walk away. The choice is yours." Aean was the first to speak. "I'll do it." Ilara's head snapped toward him. "Aean, I'll do it," he repeated. "Not for the money, because I want to understand. I want to know what you and Mom built." Iris nodded slowly. "Me too." All eyes turned to Ilara. She stared at the document, at me, at her siblings. "And the lawsuit?" she asked quietly. "Drop it, today, and we move forward. And if I don't?" I took a breath. "Then you get nothing, and I mean nothing. No properties, no income, no second chances." Arden stood up. "Come on, Ilara, we're leaving." But Ilara didn't move. She looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in years. "Why are you doing this?" Her voice cracked. "After everything we said, everything I did, why give us another chance?" "Because you're my daughter, and I love you more than I hate what you did." She broke, completely, sobbing into her hands, shoulders shaking. Arden left, walked right out the door, but Ilara stayed. She dropped the lawsuit the next day, and the following Monday, all three of them showed up at the main office of Thorne Properties. Merrick handed them files, property reports, tenant complaints, maintenance requests. "Welcome to the family business," he said. They worked, fought, learned. Aean discovered he was good with numbers, started optimizing expenses. Iris found her voice dealing with tenants. Turned out she was a natural. Ilara struggled the most. But slowly, painfully slowly, she started asking questions instead of giving orders. 6 months later, we had Sunday dinner at my house. All of them. Even Arden, who'd come back after Ilara apologized. Celine was there too, sitting next to me, her hand in mine. Iris brought Vera's photo to the table. Set it right in the center. "Grandma should be here for this," she said. Aean raised his glass. "To Mom, and to Dad, for not giving up on us when we gave up on him." We drank, and for the first time in 15 years, my house felt like home. Later that night, after everyone left, Celine and I sat on the porch. "You did it," she said. "Did what?" "Saved them. From themselves. I almost lost them. But you didn't." I looked at her. This woman who'd seen me when I was invisible, who'd helped me find my way back. "Thank you," I said. She smiled. "Thank you for letting me in." 3 years later, Ilara called me. "Dad, we just closed on a new property, a 12-unit complex on East Side. Without me? Without you. Pride in her voice. Real pride. How's it feel? Terrifying, exciting, like I finally understand what you and Mom did. You do, sweetheart. You really do. Revenge isn't about destruction. Sometimes it's about making people see what they almost lost and giving them one last chance to deserve it. My children tried to disown me. They had no idea I owned what paid their bills. But in the end, I didn't destroy them. I gave them the truth. And the truth saved us all. That's the end. The father they called worthless became the man who saved them. From themselves. But listen, this is just one story. I've got hundreds more. Tales of betrayal, revenge, quiet justice, and redemption that'll blow your mind. If you loved Thomas's story, you need to subscribe right now. Hit that button, turn on all notifications, smash that like, and comment below. What would you have done in Thomas's shoes? Would you have forgiven them? Next week's story is about a mother who discovered her daughter's secret, and the choice she made will leave you in tears. Don't miss it. Subscribe now. This is just the beginning. Let's go.